it. I'm going to click record here in a second. You ready?
Yep.
You ready, Garrett?
Hmm?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Don't ready. Alright.
I've never done it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Back in the D&Day, where the only place you'll see charisma is a character sheet. I told you that works.
It does work. I like
I'm
it.
your host, one of your hosts, King Nick, joined by Daniel, who likes to use the nickname Fluffy, I understand, and Garrett, who refuses to have a nickname. But we're going to do our introduction, seeing as this is our first episode. So Daniel, here you go.
I'm Daniel. I go by Fluffy in many circles. I've played a little bit of each edition minus Chainmail and first edition for Dungeons & Dragons. Most of my experience comes from the 3X family. I've recently been trying to put together a Starfinder game. I've also played the Dresden Files RPG, a bunch of different White Wolf. I've done Shadowrun 4th, 20th, and 5th. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a game or two here and there.
It happens. Are you enjoying 5th edition then? You started that recently?
Yeah. I started 5th edition, my first 5th edition campaign on Friday. It's being run by a friend of mine, and I am running a first level druid right now. And I'm having fun with it. 5th edition it's nice. I like it.
Okay. And Garrett, would you like to tell us your experience with the systems?
Yeah, I've played 3rd, 3.5, never played 4th, 5th, other RPGs, storyteller system, whatever that entails.
Storyteller and storytelling.
Again,
They're both. I need you to get a little louder, though.
And various other games, which I'm sure I'm probably forgetting.
All right. Well, I'm Nick. I've been playing since 1st edition. I started at the age of 4 because raised by teenagers and nerds. It happens. I played mostly 2nd edition growing up and learned 3rd edition when I moved out of the house. I never played any 4th edition, but I own all the core books and some of the supplement books because this is literally what I do. I played 5th edition I've been playing 5th edition since the PHB came out, and that was all we had to play it with. That was a nightmare, wasn't it, Garrett?
The PHP? With
Yeah.
just the PHP? Actually, no, I thought the PHP was pretty well thought out for the fact that they didn't release all the 3 there, because they had examples of monsters in the back, plus all the companions you could pick from.
I guess, but I need some backup there.
And was it the first time? No.
The game got better when the other books came out anyway.
Obviously,
So-
that
I mean,
would happen, but
most games do as more content's released.
So,
I think
otherwise...
the PHP for this is pretty complete. You
I
can play
should
without it.
I should have addressed you in my intro, because this is
No,
good.
it's because it's your intro.
Anyway,
That's what you get. You bought this
um,
upon yourself.
so I've also played D10 systems. I have a bunch of D6 systems. Little Fears and Mouse Guard are 2 of my D6 systems. I need to get somebody to play with me. Anyway, that's my experience. It's probably deeper than I'm giving it credit for, but I do think highly of myself. So there's that.
The D6 West End Star Wars system and the
Oh, you had one?
D20 Star Wars and D20 Revised.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go, the Saga edition.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So the purview of our show here is am I using purview right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Kind
I have 2 calls and they're all opposites. Anyway, the point of our show here, we're going to discuss why D&D is the way it is. We're going to start with 5th edition usually, and we're going to look at something that happens in 5th edition and talk about where it came from, starting with 2nd edition. We may sometimes go to 1st edition, but that's not going to be a common thing because, one, I don't have a great memory of it, and I don't think they've played it, and I don't have any books for it. So First edition holds a special place in our hearts because it gives us a seed, but we're going to be talking about the
Are there
plant.
even books for it? I
There's
don't even think there's books
red
for it.
There's the red box
I thought
that
that's
recently
AD&D.
got released.
No, I think that's 1st edition. We'll look it up. Hey, we're knowledgeable. We're the experts. So today we're talking about proficiency bonus, and to start that, we have to go all the way back to 2nd edition's THAC0. THAC0 was, it's how you tell if you hit an enemy. It stands for to hit armor class 0, and it was like proficiency bonus in the opposite. Is what I'm trying to get to.
Proficiency bonus encompasses so much more than just to hit. I don't think it derived from THAC0.
Yeah, we're trying to limit the scope of it. That's the word I was looking for instead of purview. Scope.
Yeah, I'll agree you use that correctly.
We're limiting the scope of proficiency bonus because it needs to be. Proficiency bonus we know does everything for you, but THAC0 was in a straight attack roll. You wanted to lower THAC0. Everybody started out at 20, and fighters dropped by 1 every level. Where's the DMG? I should have.
You know what would help right now?
What?
If someone were to describe exactly what THAC0 meant.
I did.
You didn't.
Say the words. You say it then.
I'm not gonna say it.
Well, then because you know
armor class 0.
Yeah.
Which means you need a chart to see if you hit instead of just simple addition.
Yeah. Well, it was subtraction and addition. The way to discuss THAC0, we actually have to, at least in part, talk about armor class in 2nd edition, in which it starts at 10. The base of armor class is 10, like it is in later editions. But
every edition, isn't it?
What?
Is there not an edition where ACC base is 10?
That's what I mean, later editions. I would have carved out an exemption. So armor class starts out at 10, and
but there isn't an exception.
I know.
So if you just said AC starts at 10, that would cover every edition.
Yeah.
That
even follows through into the Pathfinder and Starfinder family.
Well, you're making this less concise. So.
I mean, there's over 30 years worth of history, hundreds of books across the different editions. So
yeah.
So
the
when you
show is going to get bloated.
THAC0, so see, you'd say, to calculate THAC0, you take your AC, which is 10, like everything.
Okay, so to calculate to calculate THAC0, you look at a table to calculate what you need to hit armor class 10, which is THAC 10.
Yeah. It's 10.
Yeah, so you anytime. So again, we have to discuss our armor class since Garrett got me off topic. Armor class in 2nd edition starts at 10, and as your armor improves, it drops.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the unique feature.
So a lower armor class is more desirable, but where THAC0 gets wonky is that it's like a reverse absolute value. The lower it goes, the higher. Yeah, it is. Negative numbers are positive.
Yeah, that is the absolute value.
No, it's not.
Yes, the absolute value of a number is the positive number.
Then armor class is THAC0 is an absolute value.
Yes.
As armor class drops, your THAC0 increases. Any change in armor class results in a change. Thank you for. I thought I closed that out. Any result change in armor class changes your THAC0 to throw it higher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not true. That's why it's not true. If you have an armor class above 0, it subtracts from your THAC0.
Yeah, because you're trying to hit 0.
Yeah. So if you have an armor class of 5, if you have an armor class of 5, your THAC0 drops by 5. If you have an armor class of -5, it raises by 5.
Mm-hmm.
So the point of this story, I think, is THAC0 was complicated. Is that valid?
It's one of the reasons. It's actually one of the core reasons I've never really been able to get a handle on 2nd Ed, and that might just be because I haven't tried really hard to absolutely master it, or I just might not have had a GM who was particularly proficient at explaining it.
Yeah. Something fun about THAC0 also that sets it apart from every system after is that it's in the DMG.
That is weird.
Yeah, so in 3rd edition, your base attack bonus is on the players. 4th edition, your attack bonus is on the players. 5th edition, your proficiency bonus is in the players. In 2nd edition, THAC0 is in the DMG.
So
it's because there's no monster manual.
Yes, there is.
I thought there was only a player's handbook in the DMG when it came out.
There's a lot of monster manuals.
I know there is, but I meant like.
Well, that may be the case, but still, even with books even with systems where there's a monster manual, the player's handbook has your attack bonus because you're expected to know that as part of building your character.
Yes, but the difference between the systems is the DM knows what it is to hit the monster, whereas in AD&D the players know what they need to hit a monster.
Well, the point here, I think you're touching on that. The point here was I think 2nd edition intended for the DM to roll your attacks.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I gather. At least you can read this if you like. You can read that if you like, but I think 2nd edition's intention was for. Actually, the DM rolled most dice in 2nd edition. They wanted you to roll sneak attack, not sneak attack. They wanted you to roll attack rolls and hide checks.
Right, because 2nd Ed was still trying to keep a lot of the power in the hands of the GM or the DM, because this is Dungeons and Dragons. I'm so used to talking about systems generally, but anyway, I think 2nd Ed was still trying to keep a lot of the power in the GM's hands and keep as much information about the game itself out of the hands of the players. Yeah. So that the players never knew how difficult something was.
Or how well they
or how well they failed or succeeded. Because a lot of times in 3rd Ed, or rather systems that follow this, is what'll happen after enough rounds of combat is enough times of people going, oh, I know for a fact that a 19 will hit this, whereas a 16 won't. So if I get lower than a 16, then I'm not going to hit, and I know that.
Yeah. And I don't feel that passion for attack rolls. I don't feel the passion for that argument for attack rolls. I do, in 5th edition, still like the idea of the DM rolling stealth checks.
I can agree with that. I do think that you shouldn't know how sneaky you're actually being.
Yeah, you get a little cocky if you roll a 20, but if you roll a 1, you're like, I'm just not going to go down that hall.
Right.
But if your DM rolls it, they're like, okay, yeah, let's go. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know if you're being quiet.
Right. Or if the check is called for after the action is being performed.
Yeah.
So, like, you walk that 30 feet, and then you roll the check, and, oh, hey, during that 30 feet, you triggered XYZ traps.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. THAC0 doesn't really get more complicated than that. Fighters, as you expect, as the melee characters, their THAC0 lowered faster than everybody. Wizards lowered the slowest. I think clerics were next after fighters, and then rogues. I think clerics leveled up faster than rogues, but I'm not certain. Garrett's got the book.
I think that really depended.
I was just reading this. Yeah, see, I zoned out reading this. So yeah, the DM has the table in front of them behind, theoretically, I guess, their screen.
Yeah.
And as as you roleplay more, because AD&D had you role-playing, he's just adjusting the table as you say things, but the players still roll for themselves.
Oh, okay.
He just needs to be more aware because he adjusts it because they use no grid. So he has to take into account like where you say you are, how you're attacking, if you have high ground. So he needs to listen to you roleplay and then adjust the table. So that's probably the reason why the table's listed in the DM's guide.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who's going to have to take into all these things.
Yeah, the main reason I bring it up is because it's a very different thing.
Right. Literally in the example they're rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
right.
and...
Oh. Well, you're fine.
Okay. And I think that can bring us into base attack for 3rd edition then, as a fairly decent segue. Because in 3rd edition, at least a lot of the games I've played in, the GM went, you roll your dice, you tell me your roll, your modifiers on your character sheet, and then we, as a group, can discuss any potential modifiers that'll affect it. So if you have cover, or if you're firing from prone or something like that, where there is a +2, -2 modifier in place, then the table as a whole comes to that instead of
the only way the players are going to be able to calculate that is you play on a grid. So that should be
right.
That should be said. 3rd edition evolves past Theater of the Mind, or intended to,
right,
and used a grid.
Yeah, well, 3rd edition was still playable, Theater of the Mind. 4th edition is when they dropped it. 4th you can't.
4th
Again,
you still can.
Yeah.
It's about 50 feet, or, I mean, really, even in 2nd ed, you're still having to calculate out ranges.
Yeah,
Which, anytime you're trying to figure out ranges, it's better on a grid. And, I mean, 2nd ed's still
I would argue range and spells are probably better in Theater of the Mind for range. Even when you're playing on a grid, because some of those stupid things have like 300 feet, no grid, unless you have some like ridiculously large table. No one's gonna be able to count. No one wants to count out how many is that? 60 squares.
Right.
I don't know. I dare you to find me anybody that's ever played Theater of the Mind 4th edition, though.
Oh, I would have no idea.
I did.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's viable.
I mean, it
Excuse me.
it is, because 3rd edition already laid a lot of the groundwork down for that more miniature style play, which again kind of harkened back to 1st edition's roots as the proto RPG war game that it was, because so much of 1st and 2nd is built around the framework of the old war games.
Yeah. What was your
Would
question?
either of you prefer to play D&D Theater of the Mind? I wouldn't.
2nd edition I would.
There's no option not to.
What?
You would have to incorporate a system in which to, using the 3.5 outline.
What the point is.
I mean,
No, would you? I'm just saying. I mean, because we've played. I mean, I would prefer playing D&D on a grid.
I would.
You wouldn't?
I would, yeah.
Almost always prefer playing on a grid, but again, it depends on the group and the GM and how they're running it. If it's a very political game where you're not getting into combat a lot,
You're moving yourself around the ballroom and
right.
Okay, Evan.
But anyway,
so Daniel tried to segue us seamlessly into base attack bonus, and we resisted him.
Well, no, we didn't resist.
Not actively, but we did.
We got sidetracked.
We did not move into base attack bonus.
But so theory is, moving forward, we're discussing attacking as it were on a grid.
Yeah,
right.
That's generally it. Yeah. Which 2nd edition had something along those lines. 2nd edition had the miss chart. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
So and even the
again, I just said that's why all that stuff's in the DMG, because he's going to have to
maps with the grids on it, didn't they? For a lot of the campaign modules, they had the grids with the 5-foot squares.
That's for the DM to calculate it.
Yeah.
When he describes the room.
To be fair, well,
it's an artistic style.
The module also describes the room as size too. So
yeah, but I mean that's an artistic style. I mean, when you have a design anywhere, architecture is going to be done on a grid.
Right.
So that's just how things are done.
Right. So I don't think 2nd ed at its core was really opposed to using a grid. I think it was.
I don't know if they ever described. But did those images describe saying that movement was limited to a 5-foot square? I don't think anywhere in those systems.
I don't think they ever did explicitly. I think a lot of people just went, oh, hey, 1 square is X number of feet. You're moving 1 square.
I don't think they had grid technology in the 70s, and that's what happened.
Well, AD&D would be the 80s.
70s.
Really?
Yeah, 79.
I would have to look at when AD&D.
Here's the book.
Yeah, but this is like the 3rd printing of it. This was still 89. This is almost... But that's not fair because this is the 3rd printing. This was probably like the 3rd or 4th printing of this.
So after Thaco, was it? Yeah, Wizards of the Coast bought D&D from TSR, and they streamlined it. So instead of that, they did. They streamlined it.
I would not agree with that statement just because they scrapped 3rd edition, then made 3.5 because of how awful it was.
Well,
so I would say that they attempted to, and then they were like, "This is even worse. Let's."
Well, they streamlined
Right.
attacking is what I'm getting to, because we went from THAC0 to base attack bonus, where THAC0 was a static score for you that changed based on what armor your opponent was wearing. Your base attack bonus was a modifier. So this is the first time we get into the D20 modifiers, and armor class being counted as more of a difficulty class, to use the parlance used by skill checks. And that's really it. It behaves the same way otherwise. Fighters get it faster, wizards get it slower, but it doesn't change. It goes up based on your level, but it doesn't change based on your opponent's armor or things like that.
Well, it's in reverse. You're no longer trying to hit 0.
Yeah. Right. It's not against a target. That's what I mean. It's not that goes presented as you trying to hit a target. Base attack was just, this is what happens when you roll a 20. If your roll plus this equals this, then it succeeds.
Measures your accuracy.
Yeah. Base attack bonus is that's where you jumped in, then, isn't it? Yeah, that's your first one.
For what?
That's like you didn't play 2nd edition, did you?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
base attack bonus was my introduction to D&D
so you played
combat
3rd
as well.
first?
Yeah,
Okay.
I played 3rd first. I got into it in high school, and then I got into Shadowrun and a few other games as well.
So yeah, base attack's where you came in then.
Yeah.
So that you'd say that's user friendly then?
Yeah. I will say WotC tried making it more accessible with 3rd. They botched it because they didn't really have a handle on balance or utility quite then, but a lot of that was ironed out in 3rd, and then I feel they kind of overcorrected into 4th, but
Fourth is a different creature.
Completely different animal. It's a completely different style of role-playing game, which I think is where it turns a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Because it's not...
Fourth is...
Here's the thing with this. The way I've always taken AD&D was, like we just discussed, the burden's on the DM in that game. All that 3rd edition did was spread the burden around.
Right.
If you learned as a player, you could probably DM the next game because the system doesn't change much.
Right. It doesn't change at all. Yeah.
If you played one game of AD&D, I don't think you could DM the next game.
Oh, not at all.
No, you actually need to read the book.
Yeah, the emphasis on making it easier to play than AD&D, I don't think that's true. I think a person who was proficient with AD&D could literally just have anybody sit down at a table and they would do the math for them. Where at character creation in 3 and 3.5, I hate it. I hate character creation. It takes a long time.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, I'm just saying. He was saying ease of play. You specifically asked him as an entry point.
Yeah.
I would say most people just don't know AD&D, and AD&D I would much prefer to teach in 5th than in 3.5, and I would feel at that juncture, I bet a lot of people probably would still, at this time, I'm saying back then when 3.5 was out, people who were proficient with AD&D probably didn't make the jump. I would say they.
No,
because didn't you say
my dad didn't.
Your dad didn't. See, so I don't know if it's an ease
my dad
of
waited till
play.
5th edition to come
Yeah.
out.
Part of that too is we spend so much money on these books, especially back in the day. That
this one cost me $5.
it can feel like an abandonment of the investment sometimes to switch over.
Yeah, brand new this DMG cost $18.
Right. But inflation and garbage since then.
See, but
because I know a lot of people who from 3 and 3.5 that never made the jump to 4th because I already spent the money on the books. I already know this system, and
see, but even with that, I would feel that even 3.5 4 should have a player's handbook. I feel that was the first system that forced every player to have a handbook. I feel if the DM had a player's handbook and a DMG, like I bet your family when you all ran, did you have one set of the core books?
No.
Could you theoretically? I feel that game could be run with one book passed around the table.
I think we had like 3 players' handbooks.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like.
Well, to be fair, a lot of our library was shared between my dad and his friends, so we just all had like all of our books.
I just feel that system could be played without a book.
Yeah.
You could have a new player who didn't need to even invest and could have enjoyed it.
Well, right. I don't want to get into it right now, but I'll show you some stuff here about the player's handbook in 2nd edition that's kind of wonky.
Well,
and 3rd edition also brought about the open gaming license and the 3.5 SRD, which, while now we kind of look back on it and go, oh wow, it was just a hyperlinked wiki page with all the core rules in it. And it's kind of underappreciated now, I feel, sometimes.
Well, probably because the SRD didn't even exist when the game was popular.
Yeah, it did.
You think so?
Yeah.
I bet that game. I bet the SRD was probably popular
towards the end of it, but
towards the
end
of it. Yeah, but I don't feel that they created it knowing what the internet was going to be.
Right. And I feel that the reaction to that, with 4th edition being so close to most third-party publishers, and again with 5th, that they
OGL. 5th's OGL.
What? Right, but that doesn't mean
5th.
that the OGL content that's available.
No, it literally is. You can go on Kickstarter and people are printing books in 5th.
That's why all the third-party apps have to misspell every race name so they don't get sued.
No, on 5th now?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
It's sort of under the OGL, but only some content is. So it's way more open to third-party devs than 4th ever was, but it's nowhere near as open to third-party devs as 3.5.
Well, even 3.5, they can't use the names of some things.
Yeah, so that's the race name. Instead of Gith, it's Geth, and instead of Yankee, it's Jan. Or Zer. Instead of Zerai.
Well, that's probably because that's a directly competing app.
Actually, did you know that the Gith Yankee were created by George R.R. Martin?
No.
Yeah, we'll get
actually, wait, I think I did know that. I think that's one of those things that I say no to, but then I think I've heard that before.
Yeah. I haven't.
Yeah. Anyway, so where are we at? We're base attack bonus?
Base attack bonus modifies your D20 roll and gets added to any other conditional modifiers.
Yeah, my problem with base attack bonus entirely comes from an imbalance between wizards and fighters. In 2nd edition, most wizard spells didn't have to roll an attack roll. They were almost... in fact, I'm willing to say all, but they were all resolved via saving throws. So your THAC0 as a wizard didn't affect how accurate your spells were. Meanwhile, in 3rd edition, your base attack bonus affects how accurate your spells are. So as a wizard, you have a crap base attack bonus.
With the exception of touch.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. But
you should mention it before you explain it.
There is touch armor class.
Yeah.
But if you're not using a touch attack, you are just gonna miss that spell because I think it's dexterity. Even if you're casting a spell, your dexterity throws in on a range, and your strength throws in on a physical, like a melee. So you're not accurate as a wizard at all unless you buff dex or strength.
Right.
And even then, you're falling way behind a fighter with an equal strength.
But then again, a fighter of equal level isn't able to level a city blocking around.
There's that, but if you miss, what's the point? So,
well,
but we have.
I mean,
we do have.
You could be a ranger and you're screwed with the same thing because rangers are required to do a full attack.
Yeah.
So if you miss, what's the point?
Right.
Your whole round shot. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I'm not going to stand here for this.
You're more likely. But as a ranger, you're more likely to hit. You have the better attack bonus.
I
My
feel
argument
like
is-
it's just as likely.
Wait, are you're
My
Okay.
argument is wizards have the worst attack bonus, and they're still expected to make a ranged attack roll.
See, but
Just the exact same
but
as a
against-
ranger.
Again, you're
Touch AC.
saying you're ignoring.
Sometimes.
You're leaving out touch AC.
Most of
you're,
the
you're
time.
you're specifically
Sometimes.
ignoring
I'm not.
touch AC.
No. You know what the next thing I was going to say if you didn't stop me?
Was bring up touch AC.
Yeah.
But touch AC corrects that.
Yeah, it does, but not all spells are touch.
But I'm saying your complaint there is no fix for a ranger. There's no fix.
Yeah,
He's
there is.
required to
You
use
have a better attack bonus.
No, if he misses because of the die, his entire round is shot because of the way bows work in that stupid game. You have to
Yeah.
use a full attack. You can't even make multiple attacks as a ranger. They say specifically you need to use a full attack.
Yeah, but
So if you miss, you're just, oh fuck, I missed. All right, guys.
there's your cuss word.
I
for the
mean,
day.
Oh damn.
most
There's two
people
concepts.
do home rule that
I don't
rangers
agree with
can
that.
attack or bows can attack multiple
No,
times
that one
around.
shows up in the Bible.
Yeah, so they all do.
That's true, but I don't agree with this.
Anyway,
I'll take the one.
yeah, well, you take the 2. Anyway, I should have announced our
Can I
rules
just
before we
take
jumped
5 preemptively and just
0/5. So yeah, base attack bonus. They have touch armor class, which in 3.5 you it's dexterity plus 10. In other things like so, if you have an armor from like a force bonus, like a bracers of defense or
Mhm.
whatever, something along those lines. So it's 10 plus dex plus
Just shield.
magical bonuses.
Just even shield spell.
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So other bonuses, and so that kind of makes up for it. Then you have flat foot armor, which is 10 plus your straight armor plus magic defenses.
Yeah.
So-
More specifically, flat-footed AC is anytime you don't have access to your dexterity bonus
Mhm, yeah.
for armor class.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your surprise rounds if you get tripped,
So
certain traps.
they do try to take care of it, but you're still woefully behind because at that point a fighter, honest to God, has a plus 20 to hit. Like let's say level 20, your fighter has a plus 20 to hit, and your mage has a plus 6, I think, at that point.
I'm not even going to entertain the argument. No.
Well, at that point,
I'm
you're
not even going to entertain the argument that anything above 7th level and 3.5 is balanced for a melee class.
We'll make
Not
all
even
sorts
going to
of noise.
entertain that argument because unless you factor in Tomb of Battle, melee classes are awful, and if you're ever going to play a game that's above 7th level, you do not
Okay.
want to be a melee.
So you have a
class.
plus 10 as a wizard.
Doesn't
at
matter.
level
You get
20.
one attack compared to a wizard who can fire off like 4 spells with haste and all this other crap.
In 5th edition? Or, excuse me, in
3.5?
3.5? No, you
Yeah.
have like 5 or 6 attacks. Sometimes 8. And if you're hasted, you can get like 12.
Yeah, but yours goes down.
Yeah.
You're not negated. Chain lightning, you take your best thing and it's going to hit 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
That's it. With
Right.
the
But your best thing's
a warrior is going to do his plus 20 and then he for some reason gets nerfed.
Yeah, well, who doesn't have dex bonus?
No,
Everybody
it literally goes
pumps
down.
dex.
So we should probably explain the basic class gets worse as you make multiple attacks.
Yeah. Well, that's still...
Not
To-
for a wizard. I'm just
to be
saying
fair-
for chain lightning, he gets his best and it's going to hit 7 or 8 times.
Okay, to be fair, it does level out for in wizards' favors.
Yes, it does.
As far as damage output.
Although Great Cleave on a melee character is broken because as long as you kill a thing with your last hit, you get to make another attack.
Yeah.
And so if the enemies are arranged correctly or in the proper formation, a first level fighter or a high level melee character can in a round potentially go through 10,000 enemies as long as he kills one every single strike until
no,
he
the
fails.
max he can kill because that system is so bad. The max he can kill is 8.
No,
No, it's 100% because that system you can't move an attack.
Yeah.
you can only
spring
kill-
attack and Great
yeah.
Cleave you can, I believe.
No, you
I
can't.
think Great
You
Cleave
can't.
is
I don't
the
think.
easiest move rate.
I don't think you can.
Okay.
Alright, that's
I
already
don't
it.
think you can with Great Cleave. Great Cleave just lets you continuously attack, whereas Cleave lets you attack the next enemy.
Then spring attack.
Then you'll pull
and
it up
Great
on...
Cleave.
If you leap
look
attack-
up Great Cleave on SRD. It's not in
and
there.
the PHP.
It's not,
But
is it?
I'll just look at
Cleave
regular
is.
Cleave.
I think
Is
Greater
Great
Cleave.
Greater Cleave's
Okay,
probably
yeah.
in here.
Alright,
But
cool. Alright, cool.
so the
Well, while Garrett's doing that, because he's apparently our librarian.
well, the book was right there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about 4th edition. 4th edition doesn't change too much from 3rd. It changes a lot from 3rd, but the point of your story. Now, instead of a base attack bonus, you have just an attack bonus. The attack bonus is just half your level, plus your, and that's it. So whereas a mage would go up 1 every 4, 1 every 4, and a fighter would go up 1 every single level. In 4th edition, everybody just gains half their level on their attack rolls.
Right. Well, and I think it's also important to mention that so much of 4th edition is built on the use of the at-will, encounter, and daily powers, making a normal melee attack.
You're locked in your spot.
You're doing something wrong.
Okay, yeah, you can't move after Great Cleave.
Okay. And that's something we overlooked when we did that.
Yeah, well, we should talk to your DM from 10 years ago.
Good luck with that.
He's dead.
No.
It's now.
I'm just noting it
Right.
because when we get to 5th edition, that's an improvement of that stupid class.
Yeah.
Specifically, you can move and attack in 5th, so it's a great improvement.
Yeah. 4th edition, though, they balanced it so you get everybody. They did their best to balance everybody in every facet. They gave you 4 roles, so you have controller, leader, I won't say tank, but I'm thinking defender, and then striker?
Something.
Okay, yeah, so something along those lines. Everybody had the same chance to hit. Everybody had the same Everybody had similar survivability because they changed how armor class works.
Right.
So now you're not trying to attack just straight armor. You're trying to attack their reflexes, or wills, or their fortitude. So they try to make everybody equal. Garrett's not going to talk about this a lot. I think he doesn't know anything about 4th.
I know nothing of 4th.
Yeah.
4th ed is...
Yeah.
It's there. It exists as part of the D&D canon, and we can't really ignore it. I know a lot of people don't enjoy it. I know a lot of people do enjoy it. If what it really comes down to is, are you having fun with it? And that binary answer should be the end of your discussion with it.
The things that I've heard about 4th is it was great for making those board games.
Yeah, 4th edition was designed as a... 4th edition was designed as a tabletop game. 2nd edition was designed as a role-playing combat game. 3rd edition was a good bridge between the two, but 4th edition was a tabletop game.
Right.
You had to be there at a table. You had to have mats. I mean, you said you didn't, but you had to have, like, it's even designed, whereas all the other editions are designed in feet, it's designed in squares.
Right.
So they don't even tell you, like, 5-foot step. It's like you just want to move a square.
Right. And again, that's flavor text that as the GM you can be like, okay, I know for a fact that a square is 5 feet. Your movement is 60 feet. Whatever the book says.
Yeah, but see, I've heard that I've heard the flaws in that system where it's designed as a board game even translates to encounter, like, everyday actions. Even when you go to talk to a tavern owner, it's still played like a board game.
Yeah, we're getting a little outside the scope.
Right.
But my problem with 4th edition, again, from not really having played it, but just seeing how it plays, my problem with it is that the way your abilities are set up, you don't get more abilities. You have to trade them out. So, like, highest level you get, like, 6 total. Like, you have 3 dailies or 2 dailies and 4 encounters or something. And like 3 at wills.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think each level you gain new ones, though.
Yeah, but they trade out.
I don't know if they do trade out or not.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Even if they do, there's still such a difference in scale between the different milestone markers, let's call them, like 1st, 5th, 10th, 15th, 20.
Mm-hmm.
There's still such a different power scale between each of those steps that who cares if I lose this 1d4 at will attack? I now have a 2d8 at will attack.
Yeah. I guess the only time you would notice it is when you're playing a wizard and you go from having a spell book of like 60 spells of various levels to like, oh, I have 6 abilities now that I use every day.
Right. And I feel that 4th edition tried to be like, this is exactly what magic is. Where 2nd and 3rd were like, do what you want with it, but here's what we have.
Yeah.
So I feel that 2nd and 3rd were more open to people homebrewing and people going, this is what I want to do, and I can tell that this is where it should be in the power scale. Whereas with 4th edition, it's a little harder to homebrew that because there's a lot more work going into it.
Yeah, you had to like design 30 levels solid of
right.
levels. But anyway, so 4th edition, they try to make it so that everybody had the same chance to hit. That was their goal. Like when you hit, different effects occurred, but everybody had the same chance to hit. 5th edition rolls straight in from 3rd edition. There are some changes. They take the base attack bonus and they make it a proficiency bonus. When the base attack would level up with you, like evenly every level. Base attack or the proficiency bonus goes every 5 levels. Right.
And again, in 3.5 you didn't get a base attack every level.
Yeah,
some did, some
Fighters.
didn't.
Right.
You had a specific table. Proficiency follows the same table.
Yeah.
You just get it as designated time.
Right.
Yeah, so every class gets it at the same rate exactly.
Right.
Yes,
and
because it
also
doesn't just
feeds-
relate to attack.
Right.
Yeah,
It relates to everything. It fixes your problem that you had with ranged spellcasting.
yeah.
You now just get a flat proficiency bonus.
The difference here that we should bring up with 5th edition and 3rd edition, in the way that the proficiencies work, is that as a wizard, if you're casting a spell, you don't add dexterity because it's ranged now. You add your intelligence because you're using your intelligence. If you're a cleric casting a spell, you use your wisdom. If you're a sorcerer, you use charisma. So the bigger change, what I think we're focusing on the wrong part. We're looking at base attack bonus and proficiency bonuses. They relate to each other. And the bigger change I think we should focus on is the fact that they changed how abilities interact with, or like your ability scores interact with your attack rolls. That is the bigger change.
They didn't change anything. They're
Not-
still exactly the same. It's
Yeah.
still even
They-
calculated exactly the same.
They're calculated the exact same, but if you're a sorcerer in 3rd edition, you still use dexterity to do your spell attacks. But now if you're a druid in 5th edition and you have a shillelagh in hand, you can attack melee with your wisdom. That's a huge thing.
I think
That's
it's huge at character creation.
No, for
Kind of, because if you're gonna, you're
combat
going
balance.
into a min-maxing thing. Okay,
Right.
It's what you're doing.
For our combat balance,
No,
which is what I'm arguing.
But you're going for a min-maxing kind of thing.
No, not really.
Yeah, because if you want to be the best that you possibly can for that character, yeah, you can tech him out to be perfect in the stat that he needs.
Yeah.
But if you were rolling straight and you just roll with the punches or point by or whatever, I
Right.
don't think this is
Well, if I roll
playing
an
into as much as you.
If I
as
roll
it
an 8
matters.
charisma, I'm not going to make a sorcerer.
See,
So-
that's you're changing character. That's min-maxing.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to play a sorcerer with an 8 charisma.
I'm just saying the difference between 1 and 2 isn't
Who
going to
would?
break the game for me.
Right.
Like, oh, I shouldn't have picked a thing because I only have a +2 wisdom and I have a +1. I just can't be a cleric now.
Well, no, you can be. I'm not saying you shouldn't be. I'm
Well,
saying
that's what I'm saying.
it's a huge change because now, well, would you rather play a cleric with an 18 dex or an 18 wisdom?
I guess it's different opinion here because
it
I would.
depends on the build and the god.
Hell, in your game.
No, okay. Here, let me just ask you this.
In your game, I'm currently playing a fighter with a higher strength, I'm playing a mage with a higher strength than intelligence.
Yeah, see,
And
that's
what's
where,
wrong with that?
That's what I'm saying. See,
He's a little lunatic.
well, that's here's what I'm saying. So we'll just add. Okay, to wrap up proficiency bonus,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll move into banter because banter's the best part.
Banter's not even next.
We've
yeah.
been bantering this whole
Yeah.
time.
So when you create
No,
a character,
not
when you create a
Wait till we
character,
get there.
do you want to roll first before you create your class, or do you go in saying I want to make a wizard and then I'm rolling?
Well, that argument is kind of sidestepped by the fact that I don't.
No, because it plays into
6 in a
exactly
row.
what you're saying.
But
Get those things
that only
fixed.
applies if I sit down. I'm going to play an elf wizard, and then I roll 6 stats and take them in order. That's the only time it comes into effect.
Don't know many groups that do that, though. At
Yeah.
least none of the groups that I've played in. Our most usual stat creation is 4d6, reroll 1s and 2s, combine the
wow.
highest 3.
Yeah.
We're
Wow.
normally
Power
pretty generous.
Your power gaming, yeah.
So
So do you get to you apply them into whatever you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how most people do it. So
well,
the
we
only
do that the same way too, but we don't allow 1 to 2 rerolls.
ones.
Ones.
I reroll the first 2.
Oh, I don't even do that. Mine's is you reroll.
Anyway,
And you also said you dropped the lowest.
Yeah.
you always
See,
drop
he-
the lowest.
No, when you say drop the lowest, what do you mean?
Drop the lowest
Just
die.
count- take
So
the
you
top
only
3.
Oh,
count the
I
top
thought you
3
meant.
die.
I thought he meant he drops the lowest stat.
I have a when we get
We'll sometimes do roll 7, drop the lowest.
See, that's
or
insane.
Sometimes
You guys
do
are-
drop
like
the lowest.
so you're
get a
talking
free
your
18.
average characters probably sit down at the table with a 14.
I like that.
About yeah.
I like that. I like strong
we-
characters because that means I
yeah.
can be a mean DM.
See, now, here's what I don't like about strong characters. If everybody at the character is a strong character, it means that the bard might not be the best person to talk to someone in a social situation, which
Yeah.
I think takes away from things. You need to not have the barbarian be able to be like super suave, or you need to have like the rogue might not be. I mean, if you just everyone sits down at the table with an 18 or a 20 and everything, they're just like, well, fuck the ranger, the rogue, the bard. Who cares? Someone
three.
pick the lock because you all have because you all have +4 to your decks.
All right, so since we're doing this already, we're gonna say that that's our description of proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
so I hope you're able to glean some kind of evolutionary line from Thaco to base attack bonus to whatever 4th edition did. I don't know what to call it. To proficiency bonus. If you're not, there's more things you can look up. We're not. This might not even be the last time we talk about this specific set of things.
No, it
Prob-
definitely
it
won't be because
definitely
the
won't be
the
because-
combat system is going to be part of every single thing.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a we understand that this is a wide ranging thing and it encompasses a lot of what the game actually is. So we're probably going to come back to this, and this is what we can do. And what this took us like 40 minutes to get through. So we're gonna flip the coin, and instead of talking about the past of D&D, we're gonna look at this month's Unearthed Arcana, which is Magic Items of Eberron. Wizards.
I am so ready for
Yeah,
more Eberron.
Yeah, Wizards is definitely telegraphing their interest in doing Eberron as a campaign setting. They have an unofficial PDF book out for it, Wayfinder's Guide. You can find that on the DM's Guild. So they're not being shy about it. So every month, or the last 3 months, their Unearthed Arcana was Eberron. Garrett likes this one, so I'm going to hand it to him. Just pick that one up.
Which one is this?
Um,
the Dawson.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, we have, there's nothing in here that's overly powerful. We've got Imbued Wood, which is, it's like, they try to touch on Xanthar's Guide with some materials. So this is a material for a wand or a staff. It just increases, like, each type of wood increases a single damage type by 1. It's not a huge thing. We also have Orbs of Shielding. They act a similar way. They prevent you from taking one type of damage by D4. Nothing game-breaking or, like, hyper-powerful. Excuse me. What we're going to talk about here, though, before we get to the docent, is the two-handed arcane focus rule. And that's the big thing they introduce here. They say that if you hold your focus in 2 hands, it increases cantrip range by half. Excuse me, my voice is going to crack now.
Both ranges? I thought it was just the max.
It's just cantrip.
I thought it was just the max. I didn't think it increased the minimum.
There's no minimum. Cantrips don't have that.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah. Cantrips just have ranges. So, like, what, give me a cantrip.
Magic
Produce
missile.
flame for druid.
Yeah, what's its
1d8 at 1d8 of fire at first level.
What's
I
the range?
think 60.
They're all like 60.
60?
Yeah,
So,
they're all like
if you
60.
have a two-handed focus, you cast it at 90 feet. That's it. That's the biggest thing they did in this Unearthed Arcana, and it's not even that big. It's not game breaking. Would you let a wizard in your games do it?
Yeah. I feel that this is also kind of underpowered based on what doing melee weapons in two hands was capable of in 3rd Ed. Because that increased your damage by an extra half.
3rd Ed's a power game.
But 3rd Ed is also a power game, yeah.
Okay, so...
But, I mean, I think in order for it to be worth it for a caster to be like, yes, this is going to be a critical piece of my build, would be if it increased the damage type by 1 category or something like that.
I don't know. I wouldn't care. I mean, it depends on how harsh you're going to be.
I said mute your phones.
No, I never said that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway, so let me put this argument out. If you're a fighter and if you have a long sword versus a great sword, the long sword's a D8. It takes 1 hand. You can use the shield and get it +2 to your armor class. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to a great sword, you sacrifice the +2 to your armor class, but you get 2d6. So you get not a greater, like a very exponential damage increase, but you get a damage increase. If you're a wizard here using the 2-handed arcane focus, you don't lose anything.
Yes, you do.
What?
As far as a role-playing, you need your spellbook to cast. If you're using a 2-handed weapon, you can't use your spellbook.
you need your spellbook to memorize your spells.
No, you need your spellbook.
No, you don't.
Pretty sure you have to have your spellbook with
If
you
you
to
had to
cast.
If you had to have your spellbook to cast, this could not be a rule.
Yeah, it still could, because you're only using it on cantrips.
Yeah.
Cantrips, you don't need your spellbook. But a level 1 spell, you do need your spellbook.
No, you only need it to memorize your spells.
I don't think that's I think you have to have it.
I'm currently playing a wizard. I promise you that's how it works
either
out.
way, it's something that could be home ruled. So
that could
might
be said
change,
about anything.
Right.
Yeah, so, but my point here is that as a wizard, if you're using a 2-handed arcane focus, you can't hold a shield. You can't, you could arguably hold a potion or something like that, but you're not really losing anything by using
because if you're going to be drinking a potion, you can't be casting a spell.
Yeah.
Because you're actually be drinking, so
but
you're not
my point
using
is
it
you're not losing anything.
You also couldn't carry a wand.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have your wand of 3rd level magic missiles.
Again, you wouldn't be using if you're going to use the wand, that's your action. You wouldn't be using a cantrip. So he still points on that you wouldn't. As far as using the cantrip goes, it doesn't affect you.
Meanwhile, back to my point, clerics and druids are not helped by this as much.
Right.
Because as a cleric, you lose your shield. As a druid, you lose your shield. Is it worth getting plus 50% of your range to sacrifice a +2 to your armor class?
Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah,
because
really,
I don't know. I don't think so. Unless you know there's no chance of them coming within 60 feet.
That's what
and then that could also be like a battlefield thing where, yeah, sure, you want the extra 30 feet because if you have more range and more active combatants on your side of the field, then you're going to want to be able to push as much firepower as far as possible.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is more going into a large-scale conflict warfare thing, but if you were to think about it tactically, you would have your high-damage, low-squish people as far back as possible, and so you'd want as many people and as much distance from your glass cannon to the pointy bits of there.
If you're a cleric or a druid, you're not a glass cannon, so
right.
You're not. That's my argument. Is it worth it though? Like, you as a cleric especially, you're going to drop from a 16 or from an 18 to a 16. Is that 2-point drop worth the extra 30 feet?
It depends on which role they're trying to fill at the time. really.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, if they're going, I'm gonna sit here and just launch heals out at everybody, or if you can only heal by touch, I think that would be one of the deciding factors, and might be why this doesn't affect divine magic to prevent these.
This does affect divine magic.
Oh,
it's just that's the way I'm framing the argument.
okay. Then yeah, I would say it would depend entirely on the type of build of the character. So, a wild shaping druid.
Maybe this doesn't affect her. I'm an idiot. It does say arcane focus.
Right.
So, I guess that's up for debate. But maybe I'm just an idiot.
Right. But
so
when it's wizards and sorcerers and warlocks, then, they're not really walking into the battlefield loaded with armor and the biggest, fanciest, shiniest, deadliest swords that money and magic can build.
Yeah.
They're going in there with their foci. So the longer an enemy is in their path of attack, the more combat utility they have.
Yeah. Okay, so what time are we running? All right, so we're getting late in the game. I want to say, let the banter begin. All right, who wants to banter?
I kind of think that all our random segues have been.
Yes.
And that's what I meant by having the 15 minutes worth of banter time being planned for throughout the entire thing, because we're gamers, we're going to go off track.
Yeah, I just want to explain to the listener, and I didn't pluralize it on purpose, that part of our script that I've written has a segment chart carved out for banter. And I don't know, but the point's made. We've been going off topic constantly. I think we're pretty much at the end of the show. Anybody have anything to add? What have you been up to this last week or so?
Trying to learn 5th edition. I'm thinking I'm gonna take my druid down the path of the moon for that wild shape, 'cause man, wild shape is awesome. A brown bear's only a CR1? What?
Well, that's compared to things that are magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a brown bear's a CR1, but then there's the manticore.
I don't know how they calculate CR and fifth. They never explain it.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
They never explain it.
What have you been up to, Garrett?
Explained. Nothing.
Nothing? Garrett does? Nothing.
I do nothing.
I've been listening to Game of Thrones on an audiobook. I just finished the first book and started the second.
Nice. That's an awesome series.
Yeah. I think it's given me a lot of creative juices flowing and character ideas budding, but we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, I know how the show goes, so it's not going to be a happy ending. But anyway, I think that is going to be it for the show today. Anything to add?
No. What level did you start your 5th edition game at? Did you start first level?
Yep.
All right, Garrett's going to
We're starting Curse of Strahd.
Ooh, I never played that one.
It's super fun so far.
I never have.
No.
I haven't been to
that game. Someone played. We played it. I played it like the first 3.
I haven't been to Ravenloft since 2nd edition.
I want WotC to get the rights for it back.
They own it.
Yeah,
they do. I thought they sold it to Sword and Sorcery back in 3rd Ed.
They did, but they own it.
They
now.
own it now because they published it.
Okay. Well, I know that they kept the rights to Strahd and Castle Ravenloft.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know they got... Okay, because I know that the 3rd Ed books were pushed by Sword and Sorcery.
Yeah.
And then WotC did Return to Castle Ravenloft.
Yeah.
Which didn't really take place in the actual realms of madness, just in the physical location of Barovia.
Yeah, I'm just looking some stuff up.
That's fine.
So, yeah, they own it now. We can get back into that later. Next time, what are we going to talk about? Anybody? No? Stats?
Sure, stats.
Sure.
Join us next time. We'll talk about stats because we're going to narrow this down.
Talking about stats doesn't. We could probably make a 6-episode series just talking about each one of the stats.
Yeah.
For an hour.
So yeah, join us for stats next time, and
I don't think Derek can make an episode on Constitution.
well, yeah, we could. It's the
Constitution's pretty
Constitution.
straightforward. It hasn't changed across almost any of the editions.
It has.
It's always the same.
All right, we'll get into that next time.
Concentration and sustained spells.
We're hitting our hour mark, and I want to kill that. Anyway, we don't have a Twitter set up because Twitter is bothering me right now. We do have a Discord. It's the D&Day Discord. It'll be in the description on the YouTube video. And we have a Patreon, but until I figure out how I finish setting that up, I won't advertise it here. Thank you for joining us. Everybody say goodbye.
No.
Goodbye.
Garrett says bye, and I say goodbye. You have a good day.